Welcome to the castle, everyone. Come on in and take a seat. My name is Alex, and I am your player, your GM, your host for Table for One, a podcast where I play through various tabletop RPGs, solo style. This is my Metro Otherscape playthrough from the shadows. In the last session, Rin managed to infiltrate the Neon Eclipse Club, and she found out that Renji was in some sort of a fighting club. He was in the middle of some sort of a fight, but she managed to blend in with the crowd. He won, hands down, and as he was reveling in his triumph, a mysterious figure came up to him. We don't quite know who this mysterious person is or what they want, but I'm fairly certain that Rin wants to know. So, grab something good to drink and let's dive into Session 3 of From the Shadows.
Memories. They are the ghosts that haunt us, the chains that bind us, the illusions we cling to as if they were truth. You think they make you who you are, but memories lie. They shift, twist, erode like data corrupted over time. Do you even know which of yours are real? I have seen men kill for memories. I have watched lovers weep over echoes of what never was. And I have learned the truth. Memories are weapons. They can be shaped, rewritten, erased. A man without his past is nothing. A man who controls the past, he is a god. You fear forgetting, but you should fear remembering more. Because I hold the veil over your mind, and when I lift it, you will not recognize what you see.
The first thing that we're going to do is, we need to talk about some of the mistakes that I've made in the previous sessions, specifically with how I've been using power for effects. Before, I would add up all of my power tags, as you should, and I would subtract the weaknesses and negative effects from that total power, okay? The error was in the actual number for the power that I used to spend on effects. So the way that it's supposed to work is you would add up your power tags, okay, as you should. You would subtract your weaknesses and negative effects, okay? And that number that you come up with is the number that you use on effects. And I didn't do that. For some odd reason, I just used the total amount of positive tags as my power for effects, and you're not supposed to do that. So, for example, if I have 3 tags committed to a task and a status that subtracts 1 from it, and I roll a 7, that means I have a mixed success with 2 power to spend on extra effects. Now, what we need to do is roll to see if we get the expected scene. Obviously, Renji and the mysterious figure are going to leave together, and Rin is going to have to somehow tail them, okay? That's the expected scene right there. We're going to have to test that with a D10 roll. If we roll over the chaos factor, we get the expected scene. If we roll under it, we get an altered scene or an interrupt scene, depending on if we rolled odd or even. Remember, our chaos factor is 3. Let's go ahead and roll and see what happens. We have an 8, so we get the expected scene here. Renji and the mysterious figure walk off from the arena and they go behind a door, which clearly leads into some sort of an alleyway. The alleyway is darkened, so there isn't really any possibility that some random passerby is going to just stumble upon it and then enter this area. But Rin can't just go the same way that they are going. She's going to rush out from the area back into the club proper. She's going to pass by the guy wearing all the camouflage gear, and she's going to go back into the streets so she can try to find Renji. Once she's outside, she looks around, and she manages to spot Renji just leaving the alleyway with this mysterious figure. and now we're going to have to try to tail him. To do this, we're going to roll for surveillance using the action database book. You follow someone with the intention of tracking their location, movements, and actions, possibly for an extended period of time. Some power tags that we can add to help us out include surveillance skills or tech, stealth skills, dark clothes, tracking skills, unmarked vehicle, tracking device, silent drones, etc., etc. Some negative power tags that could apply include noticeable physical features, poor vision, target's alertness, target security escort, target's disguise, and so on. And actually, what I would like to do here is to roll and see just exactly where they are going, because the area might have some benefits or it might have some negative impact on Rin actually tailing them. I have my own street descriptors here, and this will include things like sound, sight, and scent. This is a D66 roll, and so what I'm going to do, I've got my Metro Otherscape dice. They came in 3 different colors. We have red for sound, we'll do purple for sight, and then we'll do blue for scent. I'm going to go ahead and roll them all together, and let's see what we get. All right, so it looks like we got 66 for our sound. For sight, we have 25, let's just say, and then for scent, we have a 22. All right, so let's take a look at sound. I've actually never rolled a 66 on these types of things. Total silence, as if the street itself is holding its breath. Ooh. Wow. Yeah. Story tag, anybody? We're definitely going to add one here. How about dead silence? Yeah, dead silence as a story tag. All right, let's go ahead and see what 25 is. 25 for sight is a transparent billboard projecting messages. It says in the rain. Let's not do in the rain. It's supposed to be silent. So a transparent billboard. Okay, probably some sort of an advertisement up above that casts like a neon light downwards into this whole area. Okay, so it's silent. We have a billboard with some neon lights, and then 22 is going to be smog thick with industrial pollutants and artificial coolants. Ooh, I actually really like this. How about this? Let's go ahead and ditch dead silence. I do like that. But I also like the thick smog idea a little bit better. Because if there are people walking around, that's going to make noise on itself. The street itself is just dead silent, okay? But the smog, that's definitive. That's going to make it very hard for Rin to pick out Renji. Our story tag here will be smog, or thick smog. Okay, I actually really like this. Now we need to roll and see if Rin can, tail Renji throughout this area, this street. Let's take a look at our power tags. Rin is definitely a trained assassin, and she's best in the business. Well, I don't think there's anything in the Kitsune charm of trickery that we can use. Well, she is also trained in ninjutsu, so we can add that as well. I don't think that there's anything under tough as nails that we can use, so we'll go ahead and skip that one as well. Because of the thick smog, that 3 is going to turn into 2 power, and we're just going to go ahead and roll with that. So let's see what we come up with. Oh boy. I believe that's our first double 1 right there. Ooh, that is a miss. Not only that, bad stuff is about to happen. Let's take a look at the consequences. You can lose their target. The target notices you. You lose track of the target for a time during which anything could have happened. The information you get on the target is blurry, incomplete, or spotty. The target is more protected or informed than you realize, or maintaining a detail becomes taxing, so you get bored, cramping, or broke, which I don't understand how broke comes into play. I guess you just spend all your money on donuts or something like that to stay awake or something. I don't know. But regardless, we got double 1s. Here's what's going to happen. Rin steps into this street with Renji and this mysterious figure. The smog is thick. She's having a tough time trying to find Renji. And actually, she's going to lose track of him. She keeps walking forward, and that's when she sees a silhouette that's illuminated by the billboard above. It's Renji. He's there, and he's facing her. I was wondering when the Shadow Academy was going to send someone to kill me. I guess it had to be you. Well, let's go ahead and get this over with. He's going to set up a defensive stance right there. In addition to that, there's got to be some very bad consequences for Rin, and we are going to burn a tag. As the MC, one of the consequences that you can impose on a player is that you can just straight up burn one of their tags. And the tag that we are going to burn is Best in the Business. What this does is it makes it so that the player cannot use that specific tag anymore, or at least for the scene or until they get it cleared up some way, mainly by spending power. What this also does for the player is that we get to mark an upgrade for that specific theme. So we get 1 upgrade point for the Trained Assassin theme card, which is actually very good. We want some upgrades here. In fact, we need 3 upgrades to actually gain an upgrade for a specific theme card. You can also do that by invoking weaknesses, but I've not done that because it just didn't feel natural in any of the previous roles. Renji is there before Rin. She has the opportunity to attack him even though he's in a defensive stance. However, we need to create the actual challenge that represents Renji. Renji is going to be an elite tier challenge for Rin. This means that he's going to have Hurt or Subdue 4. He's got some tags like Ghost Market Ties. He's got a blade and gun hybrid. And some of the moves that I can use include Sudden Disappearance, setting off a trap, fires a silent smart pistol, and hit with the katana type of a deal. The first thing that Rin is going to do is she's going to draw her specialized kunai, and then she's going to rush at him. So that means she's going to use Trained Assassin, kunai, nothing under Kitsune Charm of Trickery, but from Shadow Academy we have Trained in Ninjutsu. But also the area is Thick Smog, which means we're going to be subtracting 1. That means we have a power of 2. Let's go ahead and roll and see what happens. Alright, we have a 4 and a 1 for 5, plus our 2 power makes 7. Now, we do have 2 power from this attack left over, which means we're going to actually hurt Renji. We're going to give him a tier 2 hurt status of some kind, probably something like Slash. That means on our tracker, we would mark the box for 2, and that's it. Now, also because we did get a mixed hit, there's got to be some sort of a consequence for Rin. And I think what's going to happen is Renji is going to suddenly whip out his hidden blade, some sort of a katana, and he is going to basically just try to cut her. And this is going to be, I believe, a hit with katana, tier 2 for Rin. Ouch. So he is also going to slash at her. So basically, she slices at him, and he does the same to her. The two dance back and forth, trying to land a blow on each other, Rin using her kunai to block the katana, and Renji using his katana to block the kunai strikes, until Rin suddenly gets a hit on him. She slashes at his shoulder, and Renji does the same and slashes at her. So they both deal 2 wounds to each other, essentially. So on each of the trackers, we're going to mark an X above the 2. Since Rin is the main character, her tracker goes all the way up to 6, whereas Renji's only goes up to 4. That's his limit. We're going to keep the action going, focused on Rin. She's just going to go ahead and keep applying the pressure on him to see if she can get some sort of a upper hand. She's going to keep on attacking with her kunai. Now that Renji does have his weapon drawn, we're going to go ahead and add some negative effects to this roll. Rin is still going to use Trained Assassin, kunai, as well as Trained in Ninjutsu, minus the 1 from the smoke, and also minus 1 because Renji has a katana. He's able to block. He's a capable ninja. Let's go ahead and roll and see what happens. Alright, we have a 5 and a 4 for 9, plus 1 is a 10. So we actually get that strong hit. Alright, that's good. Rin has seen Renji fight before. She's seen him at the fight club in Neon Eclipse. She knows some of his tells, and so she uses that to her advantage. She blocks his strikes with the kunai, and she gets in there close, and she manages to go ahead and strike at him. Now, because we did roll a 10 or above and we obtained our strong hit, we can actually go ahead and take a consequence for a greater success, meaning we get +1 power for effects. And that also makes it so that if we're mitigating damage for us, we gain +1 power to spend. I don't think I'm going to do that here because we've already dealt a 2 to Renji. So adding another 1 to our +1 would only mean that we would get the 2 again, which means we'd only be going to the left of that for the 1 anyways. So I think we're just going to go ahead and take the strong hit with no consequence here. Rin gets in close and she manages to get him pretty good. And actually, we're going to have Rin just go ahead and deal all sorts of lacerations across Renji's body. So he's just going to go ahead and take that 1 right there. And so she still has the initiative. The action is still on her. She doesn't have any consequences. So what is she going to do this time? Now, the action is still on Rin here, which means she can still act and she's going to keep on attacking. So she's still going to use Trained Assassin, Kunai, as well as Trained Ninjutsu. But because Renji has his sword drawn, that's going to go ahead and take away 1 power. There's also Thick Smog, which is going to be another -1. In addition to that, she's hurt. She's got hurt too. That's definitely going to affect her performance. So we're basically taking away power here. Now the thing is, if I take into account Rin's wound here and give her that -2, then I also have to take into account Renji's wound because they are both whittling each other down. They're both getting damage, which is going to affect their performance. So what would have been a -1 power here, I'm actually going to go ahead and just keep it at 1 here. So Rin is going to still have a power of 1 for this attack. Let's go ahead and roll and see what happens. A 4 and a 3 make 7 plus the 1 is an 8, so we get a mixed success here. We have 1 power to spend and we're definitely just going to go ahead and keep the attack going, which means we're going to mark the 1 box on Renji's tracker here. In addition to that, we do suffer a consequence, and I think what's going to happen is Renji is going to duck out. He's going to suddenly disappear, and Rin is going to be left there looking around in the smog. Does she see anything? Let's go ahead and find out. Trained Assassin and Trained Ninjutsu are going to be the only things that would apply here because she is hyper focused on Renji, so that's a +2 right there, minus the 1 from the Thick Smog makes her power only 1. So let's go ahead and see if she can spot Renji. A 6 and a 1 make 7 plus the 1 is an 8. So that is a mixed success. We do succeed at spotting where he is, but there's going to be some sort of a consequence. And I already know what the consequence is going to be. She is going to realize that he has fled the battlefield. He is running away. And since she has seen him, we can actually give a chase. Now, there is something about chase in the action database book. A chase scene usually has a tracked outcome and revolves around the catch/outrun polar limit. When outrun maxes out, the fleeing party manages to escape its pursuers, ending the chase for the time being. When catch maxes out, the pursuer catches the fleeing party and ends the chase by blocking their escape or otherwise preventing them from running away. The MC determines the limit as a measure of how lengthy she wants the scene to be and the stakes at hand. Outrun hinders any action at range that becomes less effective from a distance, such as most attacks, intimidation, communication, or noticing small details. The MC may rule that as long as this outrun exists, it is impossible to perform close combat actions, such as hand-to-hand attacks, grabbing items, or attaching a tracker beacon by hand. During a chase, you run, ride, drive, or pilot to catch up to the target, if you're the pursuer that is, or to escape your pursuers if you're the target. You may also take action to impede your opponent. I think it only makes sense that the tracker for this one is going to include a 3. Renji is going to run out of the smoke-filled area, which is going to cross off thick smog from our story tags because we're moving into a new set piece now. We're actively running to a new area. And Rin is giving chase. Let's see what we can actually use that will help us in this endeavor. We're definitely going to be using trained in ninjutsu. I think that is the best option for us here. And if we're going to use that, I think also trained assassin, because assassins, I would imagine that you're going to have to keep up with your opponent if they try to flee. But I do have a question for our fate chart here. Are there people out here? Are we suddenly in a crowd that could somehow hinder us? Since our chaos factor is 3, what are the chances that there will be people here? Actually, I think I'm going to keep this at a 50-50 chance here, meaning that there's a 25% chance that there are people out here at this time. Let's go ahead and roll our D100 and see what happens. All right, we have a 60, I believe that is. Yeah, 60. So no, there aren't any people out here. We're in an old part of town and there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of people here. It's very silent in that previous area with a lot of smog. Nobody's going to want to come out here, especially at night. It also means that there aren't going to be any story tags that we're going to apply, at least for now. I am going to go ahead and just disregard our hurt status because we're even, so that would just cancel out anyways. But I am also thinking that since Renji is also a capable ninja, that we're just going to go ahead and take away 1 from our power here, especially since we've burned best in the business. Only makes sense. Let's go ahead and roll and see what happens. We have a 5 and a 5, plus our 1 makes 11. All right, we have a strong hit. So a success with none of the consequences, or we can take a consequence and gain +1 power to spend on effects. And you know what? I think we're going to go ahead and do that this time around. We're going to take a consequence to upgrade our power from 1 to 2, meaning we are now catching up to Renji. We are at a 2 on our 3 chase sequence, I suppose. Now we need to come up with a consequence. And the only thing that really makes sense here is that this mysterious figure is going to pop in. Rin notices that in front of Renji is this mysterious figure, and they begin to veer away from each other. Renji goes one way, and this mysterious figure goes the other way. It's rather obvious what they're doing here, but that also gives Rin an important choice. Does she go after Renji or does she go after the mysterious figure? She's got to stay focused on him. He is the target after all. So I think she's going to let this mysterious person go, which means we're also going to roll again to see what is happening here. We're going to go ahead and use the same roll as last time. We're using trained assassin and trained in ninjutsu minus the 1 for Renji being a capable ninja. Let's go ahead and roll and see what happens. A 1 plus 5 is 6, plus another 1 is just barely the 7, so we get that mixed success. And I think with our +1, that means we are going to mark the 1 spot on our tracker here. So we have the 1 spot and the 2 spot tracked here. We just need that 3 marked off to actually succeed in this chase. I think the only thing that really makes sense is that as Rin is giving chase, Renji's going to knock over some bins and stuff like that to try to hamper Rin's approach. So we're also going to have a -1 for the next roll as well. So let's go ahead and roll our same exact roll, only this time we have 0 power. Ooh, that's actually pretty tough. But then again, we might have some sort of a outcome here. Let's see what happens. A 4 plus 2 is 6. Ooh. So we actually get a straight up miss here, which means we do suffer a consequence. I think something that we're going to do here as a consequence is Rin is going to realize that she's not following Renji. In fact, it's almost as if when she's running at Renji, there's like a flash, and when her vision comes to, Renji's just not there. As if he was never there in the first place. And she stops and she looks around. Is this some sort of a trick of invisibility? Is this an illusion? No, not really. He's not there. She remembers chasing him, but was that really him? Was he even ever there in the first place? She begins to recollect her fight with Renji in the alleyway. That fight was real. She's got the marks from it. But was that chase ever real? Where was that mysterious person during that entire fight? She doesn't remember. Things just don't add up here. She's kind of lost now. She's lost her target. She's lost Renji. Where can she go from here? Where does she go from here? She's given up her only lead for, what, a trick? She's gonna have to figure something out, because Renji knows that she's after him, and he's probably going to prepare now, if he doesn't hide first. And that's where we're gonna leave things off. Rin is alone, and she has to find her target somehow. Before this session ends though, we need to figure out our chaos factor. Obviously, this was not a very good run for Rin, and I think what's going to happen is the chaos factor is going to go up to 4. Rin was not in control, and that's okay. It was still quite entertaining, or at least to me it was. She's gonna have her work cut out for her in the next session. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment down below, and hopefully your rolls this week will be amazing. See you in the next session.
Check back every other Thursday for a new episode of Table for One, a solo role-playing podcast. If you would like to support this podcast, please rate it or give it a thumbs up wherever you happen to be listening from. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, subscribe and be sure to leave a comment. Music was provided by Tabletop Audio and Artlist with AI voice work by 11 Labs.